Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, thank you for willing to do this.
Sure.
So I can kind of just start from the beginning then and ask how you started pursuing acting in general.
Well, I went to after high school. I went to acting school for a couple of years, and I always had known I wanted to be an actor. And I come from a musical family, so at the time I wasn't really thinking. I guess not. I wanted to be a pop star. That was my first idea.
No.
That didn't turn out, but any day now. Um, so yeah, I'd always wanted to be an actor, and the thing that I discovered in high school as a teenager was improvisation. So um, at the time, there was no Whose Line Is It Anyway or Wild and Out, but that's the style, sort of short form improvisation. And I began studying that at an improv company in New York City, and I got bitten by the bug. So I would perform and be a part of like any improv group that would have me. So I did that, and I was in acting school for a couple of years, and I joined an improv company. Um, and that improv company we'd been hired by a corporation to do like a corporate industrial for them. Like they had their general session with all of their members, and we had hired somebody who would be kind of like a spokesman. We would do the funny parts, he would do the straight parts. And that was Bill. So when we would rehearse, I would be like, in our breaks, I'd be goofing off and doing like silly voices and doing silly characters. And he said, "You have a really good voice." I was like, "Oh, thank you," because I was singing at that time. And he said, "You should really do anime." I was like, who is she? What Anna who? And so he'd set me up with an audition at, I think, Central Park Media at the time. I think they've closed.
Mhm.
And I auditioned for something and I got it. And so I did my first anime then, and then they liked me, and then they kept calling me in for auditions for different anime titles that they would do. And I don't know if I booked all of the ones I auditioned for, but good enough. They just kept calling me. And then eventually, I didn't audition anymore. I would just get called by the studio that was recording them. So if it was like Central Park Media, I was working with some, they just call me directly and go, "Hey, we have a role for you."
Right.
And that's kind of how things progress. So that's the long version.
And your first role was in My My Mai, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Start somewhere near the middle. Can't choose everything.
How did you personally take to dubbing too then?
It was a bit of a learning curve but the good thing was like coming from an improvisational background, um, in improvisation, you pivot, you're flexible, you stay flexible in the moment to what's happening. So that that kind of goes into being a human as well. Like you take those skills, and then when you're in situations where you're not quite sure, you just kind of stay open and see if you can stay flexible with things. So I would listen to what the director was saying. I'd listen to the engineer, and kind of look through the script and go, "Oh, okay, we're going to do it like this." And in the studios, the way they do it, I'm sure you already know this, but they usually have like beeps.
Right.
So beep, beep, beep. And then where the fourth beep would be is where you talk. So again, there's a little bit of a learning curve there, because I think people who do anime and looping and stuff, it's a particular skill, because you have to be rhythmic, because you have to kind of stay on that rhythm. You have to be visual, because you also are trying to match your lips, your words to the lip flaps that already exist. And you have to be sort of a quick study, because you can't be always looking down at the paper. You have to kind of cheat it a little bit, and you have to be acting at the same time. So it's not just one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did watch your video reel too, like the live action, and I was wondering what I'm guessing would have been like in the very early 90s, where it's like a teen thing where someone's trying to they want to take a picture of you and you're like
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah, that was a student film. So New York University in New York City, they have I'm sorry, they have a film department. And I think like the students have to do like a thesis film.
Mhm.
I guess they get graded on it. Maybe it's pass fail. I don't know what the thing is, but one of the great things for actors in New York is they need actors for those student films. And so at the time I was quite young and I would just send my picture. There's the trade paper backstage and, just send it and hope for the best. And so I got called in and I auditioned and I got this role. And I remember I shot for one day. It was a pretty small role, but John Leguizamo was the guy who was taking my picture. And I remember him at the time on the set, him and the other guy, they were playing good friends. They just had this like inside joke because they'd been recording. I mean, they'd been filming for like several weeks, because you do it on the weekends or whenever actors and the director were available. And they were very playful. And he was very, very friendly and professional and lovely. And it was fun. It was a good experience.
Kind of related to that, has there been a case where you've been starstruck in terms of who you've worked with or met?
I haven't been lucky enough really to work with some superstars. I mean, I guess maybe one experience I was doing a reading of a musical, sort of presenting it in front of the audience. And the director is somebody who was one of the executive producers of Sex and the City on television. And after doing it a bunch of times in New York City, he has a theater in Los Angeles, and he wanted to sort of do readings, or I guess sort of like a production of a very low budget production of the musical. And it was just exciting and scary because, sorry, that's New York coming in, because, he knows all of these people who were in the show Sex and the City, and it's like a big deal, and they came to the musical. And so it was just that sense of hopeful that, somebody will see what I do and go, hey, that's really good. We want to work with you and work on something else. But yeah, nobody in the cast was somebody that was, at least at that time, was somebody that I felt starstruck by. I haven't had that experience yet. Maybe if I worked with Cyndi Lauper, I would have that experience. I'd be starstruck meeting her.
Was there ever any aspiration for you, like early on, to move to LA?
No, I know most actors do or have, and a lot of my friends did, and they've also moved back east. But I don't know how to drive. And you have to know how to drive to be in Los Angeles. It's just not something up for grabs. There's not like, I mean, they have buses, but you cannot be relying on stuff like that. In New York City, it's different. You have the subway and the bus and taxis, but it's different there. So for something so silly as that stopped me from going to LA. But I also felt like I had friends right out of acting school. And when I went to acting school, they moved directly to LA. And, we would stay in touch. And they were so lonely because it's, when you're going to a new place, there's no community. And if you're a non-union actor, there's no community there. Everyone was so spread out. And I would hear their kind of like talking about trying to whatever, get an audition. I thought, God, I'm really glad I'm not out there. I think I'd be really stressed out. At least in New York, where I'm based, this was my home base. So I felt comfortable. I had roots already. So I could kind of really try things out without that extra burden of like, who are my friends and who is my tribe and where do I belong?
Mm-hmm. So going back to voiceover, I would think that some other like really early roles would be in Golf Force and Pat Labor.
Oh yeah, Pat Labor, right. Yeah, I do remember that. I remember recording that. I don't remember anything specific about it, but I do remember recording it.
Okay.
I think, what was the character? Kanuka? Clancy Kanuka or something? Yes. That's a great, I can't believe I've remembered that. I did not look that up before talking to you, so.
Okay. And I know that you got to record for Shenmue in Japan.
Yes, that was huge. Like I'd mentioned, the trade paper, it's called Backstage, and in Backstage they list all of the auditions, and there was a listing on there, something like for video game and submit your audio, tape. This is before MP3s. This was before computers. So, I mean, before regular people had computers in their houses all the time. And I was like, well, I've done all these Japanese animes. I could probably in a very rough way, use my VHS and play it while recording it on a cassette tape. I'm talking low rent because I'm not very technical. And then push stop and then put another one in and then play a little bit from that. So, I mean, it was very rough. No way was it good. So I put this rough tape together, of some of the voices I had done for some animes that I'd recorded by then. And I sent in the tape and they called me for an audition and I auditioned. And at the end of the audition, the guy, it was at a recording studio. At the end of the audition, the guy wanted to video me. He had a video camera. And he wanted to record me saying my name and where I was and what I've done and everything, which was unusual. I didn't really understand that. But what he said, it was for the director who was Japanese and he just wanted to get a sense of who everyone was. I was like, okay, didn't think about it. And then I don't know, a few weeks later, they called me and they're like, yeah, he wants you. And then came the process of me negotiating my contract, which was very stressful because I at the time I was not signed with an agency that was, interceding on my behalf. So I was basically my own champion. I had to negotiate my own contract. And I'm not a lawyer and I'm not good at that. And I don't want to be. That's why there are other people who study that because that's what they want to do. I don't want to do that. I just want to do the performing part. But, that's why they call it show business. So it's the business part. So I had friends who were lawyers. I had them look over the contract. They would tell me what to say back to them. And then they'd bring another. Anyway, after a long time, I was able to negotiate something that I felt comfortable with. Because the other thing is I was negotiating with this company that wasn't Sega, which is Shenmue is Sega Dreamcast. I wasn't negotiating with Sega. I was negotiating with an intermediary, someone in the middle. Mm-hmm. The company that was doing the hiring. And all along I kept thinking what if they fly me to Japan and they don't give me my return ticket? How will I get home? Not that it'd be so bad to get stranded in Japan. It's kind of awesome. But, it was that kind of thing where I was really concerned about the nuts and bolts of it. Is it for real? Mm-hmm. But it was. And not only was it for real, but they flew me round trip business class.
Yeah.
I'd never flown business class before. I'd been to Japan many times before.
Oh.
Never flown business class. It's 14 hours one way. And right. The difference flying in business class to Japan versus coach, it's night and day. You get off the plane and you feel like a human being. You've eaten, you've stretched, you've laid down. Whereas when you're in coach, you're like this, and you can't, it's very, I'm sure you've taken an airplane. And they brought me there for 1 week's time for about 7 days. That's what they booked me for. And they put me up in this hotel. And the entirety of my work that I did there was done in 45 minutes.
Wow.
I did all my recording in 45 minutes. That was it. And then okay, bye. So I basically got a 6-day vacation in Japan. So it was very fun. But I also got to meet the guy who did the voice for Rio, the main character. And I can't remember his name right now. I think it was Corey. And so we got to hang out and we got to explore Japan. We went to Nikko. It was really fun. So we because he had a lot more recording to do than I did. I did a very small but integral part in the game. But he was he'd be there 8 hours a day recording for months. He was there for months and months. So, but it was really fun. It was really fun. That's one of the best gigs I've ever had. Truly. Yeah. Do you know that game?
Yeah. I mean, it's still even the first game still has a huge following.
Isn't that funny? That's so interesting. I've had fans of Shenmue reach out to me, I think on Twitter and maybe even Instagram and say, hey, we're rallying for you to be in Shenmue 2 or 3. And I was like, okay, good luck. Because there was a weird thing that happened and I couldn't tell you, and I'm not being coy. I just don't remember exactly, but there was a weird legal thing that happened after it. And it was something about not using the actors or using I really don't remember, but they didn't either. I think like a lawyer called me about the second one, basically saying I couldn't do it, but I didn't ever take the call. So it was like, I don't remember exactly, but it was kind of like fishy. And I just thought like, okay, well, just let that go. But then these Shenmue fans contacted me going, hey, we're really trying to get you to be in the other one. Do you know if Shenmue 2 came out? It probably did, right?
Yeah, there's newer titles now too.
Ah, good. That's great. That's cool.
Yeah. And I know, interesting, one of your first like really more dramatic roles that were unlike a lot of things that you did was Alcione in Ray Earth.
One of the things that was interesting was in the early times of me recording was, I didn't even ask you if you can hear me okay, can you?
Oh yeah, I guess.
Okay, good. So I have a kind of a bright and chirpy voice, which I mean, I had an awareness of it because I'm a singer, but you know, what I hear inside my head when I'm talking is probably different than what other people hear outside of my mouth. So I'm not highly aware of it, but I think Alcion was probably one of the first ones where I was playing sort of a lower voiced character, where I kind of had to really sort of breathe something maybe more breathy than what I naturally can go towards, which is more the high kind of, you know, more of the high register. That's more natural for me. It's easier for me to produce that sound. So I think this one was more challenging because I had to like really be aware of the tone of my voice.
And another one of your roles that still has like a really good following, surprisingly, and I really like it too, is Ayane. Ayane's high kick.
Yes, I love that one too. Ayane's high kick, right? Yeah, that was really fun. That one was hard though because, wait, yeah. She wants to be a like a like not kung fu, but like MMA kind of like kicking and yeah, right. And the guy won't let her, and so she keeps kind of like trying to convince him that she's worthy. Okay, right, yeah, that was fun. That was a fun one. I'm trying to think that that one. So that one was rough though because I remember doing that one. I remember the studio and I remember the guys involved. I got really sick. So I was the main character. So Ayane, I was Ayane. I got really sick in the middle of recording. So it wasn't like a 1 day thing. You know, they'd probably record you like 4 hours one day and then book you for another day, you know, 4 hours, however many, whatever it was. And I think I got the flu. And so, you know, they kept trying to get me to come in when I was sick. And I kept trying to explain, like, I don't sound like me. You have to understand, like, my voice is gone. I can't do it. You have to wait until I'm better or go with somebody else because I'd already done like half of the recording. So I remember being under an enormous amount of stress around that, where I couldn't seem to make myself understood to the producer or director or engineer that you can try to get me to come in. I'll come in, but it's not going to sound like me. It's not going to sound like the character. So it's up to you. You know, it was kind of contentious. I remember a little bit contentious.
Well, who do you think out of all the characters you've played that you relate the most to?
I'm going to have to cop out because I don't remember. I mean, I don't know. I can tell you the ones that I remember, like Ayane. I remember I was really happy about that. I loved doing, even though it's like 100 panty shots in there, I loved doing Agent Ika. That was really fun. I loved that because who doesn't want to be like a, you know, spy who's like kicking ass? That's fun. I remember with Bill, we did, what was it? I think it was Gokudo.
Right.
That was fun. And I played a May Mare. Maybe she's a mermaid. I'm just going by the name May Mare. But whatever it was, the way that one was adapted. Oh, you can see the cars. Okay. It's out my window. That one was unique because the way that it was adapted was very, whatever that word is, I can't remember right now because I'm tired, but whatever it is, it was very, the humor was very now. It was very the now of then. And I think that was like a big deal. Like, you know, like whoever the company was may have been a little bit kind of giving some pushback around that, going, no, we need it to be a little bit more, this way. And it was like, but it makes it more natural if you are including references to what's happening now, and the way a colloquial, that's it, more colloquial, like colloquialisms of the way that people actually speak to one another, and the turns of phrase that are current in the day that you're recording, like if you were going to refer to something, some like, viral social media thing, you talk about TikTok. Back then you wouldn't have known what TikTok is, but you wouldn't say, MySpace. You wouldn't, because it's not current. So I remember the currency of it was really fun to play with. There was another fun one I remember doing, which was, I think it was called Geo Breeders.
Right.
And I think I played 2 parts in that. That were like, I played one character who was like, I think she was blonde and she wore like a white, kind of like a zoot suit with a hat. And she kind of talked like a, like a hitman kind of a talk. And then the other one was kind of the chirpy, whatever. So that was really fun, just to kind of play dueling characters in one anime. And then another one I thought that was really, probably this is the wrong thing to say, but I didn't often have the opportunity to watch the animes after I'd done them, because sometimes I wouldn't receive a copy to view it. But one of the ones that I did receive a copy of and I did get to view was Boogiepop Phantom.
Yeah.
And it was really good. It was really creepy and it was really interesting. And I thought like, oh, I get it. I get why people enjoy this, because it was like a really interesting concept and story, and it was done well, and it was authentic. Like the acting was really good. And so that one was really, I enjoyed that one a lot.
Do you think that is probably the case where you had to get the most emotionally involved, like darkest headspace for?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think sometimes, so I can't speak for how other actors approach doing Japanese anime dubbing, or any acting for that matter, but I have found, for me, when I've done Japanese anime, it isn't so much that I'm getting emotionally involved. Like it is acting, but it's a different kind than if I were on stage acting or in a film acting or singing a song. To me, I think it has to do with what I'd said at the very beginning. You're trying to match a performance in a way that already exists visually. So for me, I think a lot of as an actor, a lot of the work that I do is internal. So when I have to match a performance that already exists, it's not my performance. It already exists in the visual. I don't become emotionally connected to that.
Okay.
I can sort of, I hate to say it, but I can say I can manufacture a matching emotion or vocal emotion to fit that picture, but it doesn't necessarily evoke some emotion in me, which might sound sort of shallow. I don't mean to sound shallow, but if I were listening to what I just said, that's what I would interpret I just said.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't cause me, if I had to play a character on stage, let's say whose mother had just been murdered in front of her, I'd become physically, fully, emotionally, vocally, everything involved. But when it's only my voice that I'm providing as the performance, the deeper parts of me I don't find have to get involved. That may be different for other actors, but that's not true for me.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting, because I think you're the first voice actor I've talked to who has actually said that.
What do the others say?
Well, I mean, some of them have said before that kind of like what you said, where they're kind of just like trying to match the performance. But yeah, usually at least somebody, or they always have at least like one character that was really kind of dark. But I guess it just depends on the person.
I've not had that experience.
Okay.
I've had experiences that were dark, but not not like that.
Yeah.
I can remember a couple of anime experiences where I worked with a director who was horrible, just disrespectful, rude, nasty, crude, awful, treating talent terribly and yelling. Just to me, that's dark. That's as dark as I could ever get. And it's all it did for me was make me understand that's somebody I can never work with again. I don't care how much, whatever, it would never be worth it to me to do that again.
Also, going back to Boogiepop, what were your personal thoughts on like the, I guess, most intense parts of the series?
I don't remember. What would you say were some of the most intense parts of the series that you can maybe help me remember a little bit?
Well, I guess just nothing like super specific, but more just like how like gory at times it is.
Yeah, that's true. Well, again, I think I had more of a response after watching it than I did in terms of doing it, because when we're recording, I honestly never would know what the story was of anything that I ever did. It's almost like I have a lack of memory, like when it's happening. But that's because we don't watch the whole show. I don't even read the whole script. I'm not given the script.
Mhm.
You know, the only time I see the script is literally when I'm in the booth. It's like, okay, here we go. Like, okay. So I'm just reading this line. I have no context. We watch 5 seconds before. You know, the director will probably say, okay, here's what's going on. This person did blah, 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 and then da, 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 da. Okay, here we go. So I didn't probably get to see a lot of that until after the fact. So I don't really remember it. I do remember the thing about like the character had like I want to say like a spider on his heart, like something was like killing his heart or grabbing his heart. And then there were like butterflies, there were like memories. And that was all kind of like cool, very like interesting and creepy. But that's all I can remember. I don't remember anything particularly gory from it, but there, at the time probably there was, but I didn't get to see it when I was recording it.
Okay. Yeah, and there is it actually recently got a new series as well, so there's like a lot of renewed interest in it.
In Boogiepop?
Yeah.
Wow. Who do you know what company is doing it? Is it Right Stuff?
I know it was based in LA. I think
Okay.
probably. So, and then I know series that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's really funny, Maze.
Yeah. So that was really funny to do and fun. It was fun to play sort of the female maze, and there was a lot of recording to do because it's a lot. There's just, you know, there's like a main character that's just going through all these emotional changes and back and forth. It's a funny idea. Yeah, I don't remember specifically the stories involved, but I loved doing it. I enjoyed doing Maze very much. That was a lot of fun. And when I say fun, what I mean is usually there's like a playful, or my experience anyway, is kind of a playfulness in the studio with the person that's directing me and the engineer. And, you know, I do a lot of comedy, so I approach things from a humorous perspective. And I think people kind of know that about my personality. So we often will laugh a lot in the studio. We get a lot of work done, but in the not working moments, there's a lot of laughter, and that is a good environment in which to have to work. So that's what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you remember about it?
Oh, it's kind of like a toilet humor kind of show, but it's funny.
Is it? I honestly do not remember that, but that wouldn't surprise me at all.
What about with Ghost Sweeper Mikami?
I don't know what that is. What is that? Say it again.
Ghost Sweeper Mikami. He played a blue-haired ghost that has like ice powers.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't register.
Okay. I have a picture. I can.
Oh yeah, please. Maybe that will help. You know, I did a lot of them, so it's hard to remember. Oh yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Doesn't register.
What
do you remember it? What was it about?
Oh, it's like it's a supernatural like comedy action series, and it's like a high school boy that meets a exorcist, and then he like meets a lot of other spirits, and they kind of slay them together.
And was I a spirit in that one?
Yeah, but you were like one of the good.
I was a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there was another one I did. Some of the characters are drawn similarly. Just gonna say that. So I know I did one with sort of dark blue or black hair. but she was a fighter. It was this like a school, and they were all fighting, and there were these like.
Gao Kaiser.
That's it. Gao Kaiser. Maybe it's
Yep.
Gao Kaiser.
What about with the Hyperspeed Grandoll?
Hyperspeed Grandoll. Oh yeah. What the heck was that one about? What was that about?
You
That
were,
was fighting, right?
yeah, you were kind of like a Sailor Moon type of character.
I don't know. Tell me more. Tell me more. What can you remember? I don't know if you've even seen it, but
Yeah, she had pink hair and glasses, and she had this like robot skin that she would use to fight other like mecha and monsters and stuff.
oh, I don't remember, but that sounds fun.
Okay.
I had a good time with that because I remember Hyperspeed Grand. I just don't remember what it was about, and I might even have it on my shelf, but I don't know. It's over there. So,
Well, I would think since it was several episodes too, that there's more of a affinity with Leaf or Leif and Lotus War.
yes, Record of Lotus Wars. Yeah, Leaf. I did that one. That's the one with the little ears. I also was Marfa in that one.
Right.
Yeah. That was so before I did that, I didn't really know anything about it, but other people seemed to know about it. So it was like, oh wow, you can do that. I'm like, yeah. So that one, it was again like the Marfa voice, because she was like this earth mother, again, doesn't sit in my natural vocal placement, which is kind of high and chirpy, whereas she was more, kind of earth mothery, and that's just, it wasn't what I do. Now I can do a little better because I'm a little older, but at the time it was quite challenging, kind of set heavy on my throat.
What do you think is the case where you had to like alter your voice the most significantly for anime?
That's a good question. I don't, I guess it would be one of those where I had to kind of be either like seductive or old or a villain, where I would have to sit down deeper in my voice, which I don't get a lot of play out of doing that, because I can't be very emotional, because the minute I get emotional, I get high again. So those characters are harder for me because they sit deeper. I think one character I really loved playing that, but not because I remember anything specific about it, but Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yeah, Sophia.
So before I ever knew about that, with my improv company at the time, we used to do shows in Rochester, New York. We go there 4 times a year for a week at a time. And one of the actors had I guess it was a PlayStation. Is that right? Yeah, PlayStation. And this was the first one, and he had Battle Arena Toshinden, and I was addicted. But the only character I would play as was, oh shoot, I can't remember her name now. Not Sophia, the other one, the girl, the little girl who's Lisa played her. Yeah. Ellis, that's it. So I would only play as Ellis. Once in a while I'd play as Sophia, but I was just being nice if I did that. But I only would play as Ellis. And then when this audition for Battle Arena, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get to be Ellis. And then I was like, oh no, I'm Sophia. This is pretty awesome to be Sophia. She cracks the whip. But yeah, that was really fun. That would be like, think about a game that you love playing, and then all of a sudden you get to voice one of the characters in the doing of it. Like, that was just like, yay, perfect timing for that. I would have never known about any of those things if my friend hadn't, brought his PlayStation along for us to play Battle Arena Toshinden. So that was really, really fun. It's so funny. I've been doing this a long time, so it's truly hard to remember the ones that I've done, except when someone says one to me, and I go, oh yeah, I remember that, sort of. So yeah, I remember. I remember one time. So again, like you just said, which is true, we would never see each other, but there was this one that we were doing where I was playing this character who was sadly getting abused all the time, just like thrown around, knocked around, terrible things happening to my character. And I didn't, I'm just doing the lines or whatever. And then we met as I was exiting and he was coming in, and, we would like sign our names in, and he's like, oh, you're Debora Rabbai. I was like, oh, you're Crispin Freeman. He goes, oh yeah, I've been beating you up. Right. I was like, oh my God. It's out of context. It sounds terrible, but it was actually really funny because I didn't know who he was in the context. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was doing the character that was essentially abusing me in the anime. But yeah, and I used to go to some of the anime conventions. I used to get invited, but I stopped going after a while. But when I went, it was really fun, and I would see him sometimes. And Jessica Calvello, also, she's very funny. I keep in touch with a couple of the directors that I used to work with. Some of them are not doing anime anymore. They've moved on to other things, I guess, but some of them still are. But I don't think there's a lot being done in New York, or there's some, but not a lot. Or maybe I'm not doing it. I don't know. It used to be where I found that I would audition and usually get a role. And now I audition from home and I don't get roles. So I just, as an actor, I find that I'm much better in person than me recording my own auditions. I find it more challenging to be effective.
Well, I mean, I was interested myself, but yeah, I had a lot of people asking me to try to get a hold of you for an interview. So,
oh, really?
Still a fan base, yeah.
Who was trying to do that?
Just like people that subscribe to me on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you did it. You succeeded.
Yeah.
So what is this interview for? I've never even asked. I never even found out.
Oh, I just since like, I don't know, fall 2020, I just kind of started to get the idea to interview mostly voice actors that I was a fan of, that I really hadn't seen them talk about roles that I personally like. So then just kind of started and snowballed from there. So
what a fun idea. That's great. And with Zoom and the way things are, it's a perfect thing to do. Yeah.
So I was going to go back up. I was going to ask what your experience was on Pokemon.
Nothing particular. Oh, no, that's not true. Wait a minute. I played a character in Pokemon. I played, what's her name? I played one of the Pokemons.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like maybe it'll come to me as I'm saying it. It was like, looked like a dandelion. Kind of like a puffy head with the face.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Like a plant. Looks like a dandelion plant.
Right.
And I remember I had a baby at one time, a little baby one of those too. But you only get to say one word, which is the word of your character. Whatever your character is all of your lines.
Right.
Every time. Oh, I should remember. I said that damn name so many times. I don't remember no recollection what it was. But that in and of itself is a great acting exercise for any actor, is the idea of like, you only have one word to say and you have to express like every meaning of something using only that one word. And you can break it up any way you want, in any way you want to, but you can only say that one word over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
What about with Gravitation?
Oh, yeah. What? Tell me about that one. What one is that one? Gravitation.
That was one of the first gay like animes that were brought over here.
It was guys that were gay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were very sort of feminine men they were drawn very feminine. The men, the male characters were drawn very femininely, as I recall. I don't remember. Oh, wait a minute. Were they like a band?
Yep.
No. Yes? Look at me remembering stuff. Once in a while, I'll remember something. And was I like their manager or something?
You were like with the sister of one of the main characters, Mika.
Did I have a crush on them or something? No, probably not. I don't think so. I don't remember, but I mean, I remembered a little bit about it, but I don't remember anything too specific, except probably that it was surprising. Maybe the content, that it was like, wait a minute, this is sort of unusual. We don't usually have this happening, like the very feminized men in it. Yeah, usually it was all these like fighting, like, so different stories.
What about you were the main girl, Akari in Two Heart?
Oh, yeah. What was that one about? I do remember the name Hikari, but I don't remember what it was about.
That was a very just kind of like more realistic slice of life romance. There was a guy and like a lot of girls, and you were like the main romance option.
Is that one? Oh, no. Would that have been called Karikano? Is that a different one? His and
Oh,
her
that
circumstances?
is a different one, yeah.
It is a different one. Okay, because I remember there was like a lot of issues around that one. I couldn't tell you what they were, but I do remember the name Hikari. I don't remember anything specific about that one. I'm the worst interview right now. Sorry.
No, it's
It's just I've done a lot of them and some of them don't stick out because they just went smoothly or whatever. Who knows what?
Mhm. What about with Virus Buster Surge?
Oh yeah. I think I don't I remember where I did that one and I remember also they were looking for an actor and I supplied them with somebody who they ended up really liking a lot. He was in that and I don't remember what his name was now, but and he also might have chosen a different name to be in it. Yeah, I don't remember that one. I think yeah, I don't remember that one specifically, but
What the character name that you were thinking of as Maymare, that was in KO Beast.
oh, KO Beast, not Gokudo. But Gokudo was funny too. But yes, KO Beast was also pretty fun. Thank you. That's good. You just reminded me though when I was just talking a moment ago when you were saying the what were you just saying? What was it? Not Gao Kaiser.
Oh, Gravitation.
Gravitation. Yeah, no, before that I was thinking about Virgin Fleet. That one was very hard because it was tragic actually. The guy who was supposed to direct it passed away
Oh,
right before it was supposed to happen. And so it was like, it threw everything into this tailspin of like, and he was a friend of mine and he was great. I loved working with him. He was terrific. And then it was so sad, but that's the only thing I remember about Virgin Fleet.
okay. Well, looks like you got to play two characters on that.
I did.
Komachi and Mibuno.
Sounds good, but I don't remember. There was a lot going on then. Someone had just passed away, so.
Right. But some of the other people I've talked to that were in New York dubs at the time, everyone said that they didn't know that they were the like adult projects they were in. They didn't know until they actually got there that's what they were doing.
That is true. That was true for me, at least for a few. That I didn't know. And then there was like one or two that I did know, but I had specifically talked to the director and I was like, you need to watch it first and you need to tell me, because if you tell me there are scenes in there that I'm uncomfortable with, I'm not going to do them.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. And I remember there was one that I did where I was like, the reason that I did it was because I wanted to have a good story to tell if I was ever lucky enough to be on the Tonight Show. Which hasn't happened yet, but okay, we're just gonna move on. But then the other thing was, I remember I had one experience, and I could not remember what the title was because I didn't end up doing it. But I had said to the director, you know what? I think I've reached the point where I don't want to do A18 anymore. I don't want to do anime 18, 18 plus. I don't want to do it. Sorry. So if you have any titles like that you're thinking of bringing me in for, just call me and know. And he was like, well, we have this one and I promise I'll look through it and make sure that it's, it's okay. I was like, okay, I'll trust you, because I'd worked with him a bunch. And I show up at the recording studio, we're like an hour and a half in, and I turn the page and they're like, the way you would do it is you would watch the scene first. So you would understand contextually what the lines were going to mean that you were saying. And I watched the scene and I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like there was something happening in that scene that was so gross. I'm not going to say what it was, but I'm not a prude at all. I was grossed out and I was like, A, I'm grossed out. B, I would not know how to make a sound for that. What's happening on screen? I don't know how to make a sound for that. I don't want to try. I don't want to imagine myself making a sound for that. And so I walked out. I was like, yeah, I'm done. And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. You told me, you promised me that this wasn't going to be like this. And you lied. So I was done with that. But the other couple I did specifically so I'd have a good story, which I do.
Well, I know, like, I saw the little clip that you got to be part of Conan's show.
Yes, that was so lovely. That was so lucky and lovely. And the way that one came about was I was doing a voiceover for, I think it was like a radio spot for Sprint. And it was two couples. So it was like the main man and woman, and then their best friends, man and woman. I was the second banana. I was the best friend woman. And so me and the best friend man, we were waiting in the waiting room to record our parts because the main people were in recording theirs. And so me and him got to talking and we were talking about improvisation. Turns out he was an improviser too. And we were, just kind of connecting and laughing and stuff. And then we went and recorded and signed our paperwork and left. And it turned out they'd given us the wrong contracts. They gave me his contract and they gave him mine. So we somehow signed the wrong contracts. And so he got in touch with me and then he was like, hey, by the way, I don't know if you'd be interested in, sending your headshot in for this show I do, if you're interested, send it here. And I was like, sure, I'd love to. I'm thinking it's just a sketch show somewhere, some New York sketch show. And I didn't think about it. And then a year later, I get a call from the casting director saying, hey, this person wrote a sketch for you on Conan. Can you come in and record it today? And I was like, what? I had no idea that he was a writer for Conan. So it was very happy. The lesson that it taught me was always be nice to everybody that you meet because you just don't know who they are and you don't know where they're going to end up. And they could end up hiring you. So try to make a good impression on everyone. Nobody is too small. Nobody is too big. And kindness goes a long way. So that was really true for me.
Well, it kind of ties into my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Do I have a legacy? Oh my God, I feel like Alexander Hamilton right now. Wow, that's a pretty deep question. I would like people to say that what the acting that I did was good, like that it matched what it was supposed to match. In terms of the authenticity of what I was bringing to the role, that really matched with the picture and that it seemed really like well connected. I would hope that people would find me in person to be friendly and flexible and kind and easy to work with, and somebody wonderful to work with, and is worth the time it takes to know that person, me.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Me too. Me too. I hope that you'll let me know. I'm sure you'll email me or whatever, where this goes or what you do with it, put it up or something. So yeah, it was so much of a pleasure. Thank you for these great questions and an opportunity for me to like walk down memory anime lane. And thanks for remembering or having notes there to remind me of roles that I've played that I didn't remember, or I don't have a specific story for, but thank you for helping me remember some of them.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's always cool for me to having started doing this, like seeing people's names on the back of like VHS tapes that I had, and then it's
do you still have VHS tapes?
Yeah.
So do I. But you're not nearly as old as I am. So, I mean, I have an excuse. That was my mode of watching for sure. But I still have like all of the ones they gave me of VHSs of any animes that I did. They didn't always give me a copy, but sometimes they would. And I have them all on the VHS. And it's like, what do I do with these? Do I keep them? Do I sell them? I don't know what to do with them. You should tell me, what do I do with them? Do I sign them and sell them on eBay? What do I do?
I think that'd be probably a good idea if you want to do that.
I have to consider it because that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks. I'll send it to you. I'll get it up soon. So
please do. It was really nice meeting you, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good night and take care.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.